All right, we have Rachael here from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Rachael, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in here. So basically, you have recently passed your ACE exam
Yes.
on the first attempt, and you have some unique methods that you'd like to share with all these folks that are studying for their ACE personal training certification. We're going to share those today. Is that cool?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we're literally going to dive right into it. First, tell me, how long total did you study for the ACE personal trainer exam?
So I signed up in April and I started studying mid-April. So it took me right around 4.5, 5 months total.
Okay, 4.5, 5 months. And approximately how much time did you spend studying in each session? So let's talk about for the week, in that 4.5, 5 months, how many times a week would you actually put in effort to study?
I would go ahead and I went kind of gung-ho with it. I did about 4 to 5 days a week, at least a couple hours at a time, a couple hours here, a couple hours there.
Okay, so 4 months approximately, and 4 to 5 days a week.
Yep.
And on average, a couple hours each time.
Right.
Would you go a couple hours straight, or would you do like a 20 minutes and then a 20-minute break and then 20 minutes, 20-minute breaks? Would you just go straight?
I kind of did both. I kind of just did whatever worked with my schedule and my kids and my life for the time. And I just tried to just devote as much as I could doing that. So whether it would be 20, 30 minutes here, I would always try to go for a couple hours at least if I had it, but a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there also really were very effective too.
Okay, let's dive right into this. How did you pass the ACE exam? Tell us, what are your top tips, starting with number one?
So the number one thing I did was I got my mindset in the right place. I started reclaiming the belief that I was not a good student, like I always thought that I was in the past. So I started telling myself that I can do this. I am doing this. I am a personal trainer, and that I can do this. And I just reclaimed that thought that, like I just said, that I was not a good student. And I just made my mind up that I was going to do that. And that is like the first tip, is just tell yourself you can do it, because whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So I wanted to make sure that I was right and that I did this. So, and the mindset thing worked because I did it.
That's awesome. So I think that's going to help so many people, because so many people I hear and I know over all these years, like, I'm not a good test taker, or, I'm not a good student, or I'm not a good learner. And that's so not the case. It's just, they've got to tell themselves different things, right?
Yes.
Your intention. And then two, they got to study and do it in a way that is their style, their learning style. And so let me just dive in a little bit deeper. When you say the intention, specifically, how would you do that? How would you put yourself in the intention that you are going to be a certified personal trainer? What did you do?
Well, the first thing is that I was talking to myself in the present tense, like I am a personal trainer and that I am doing this. And I wanted to remind myself how I wanted to feel during this process and how I wanted to feel, most importantly, after I passed my test. So what I did was I aligned myself with all of the things that matched that. So I kind of set up boundaries with myself. And every time those thoughts, the contradicting negative thoughts entered my head, I would address those and try to stop them and correct that thought pattern and, reword it and tell myself that I actually can do this and to not be scared by it, because it's intimidating. But anything that's worth it is hard. And that's what I was telling myself. This is hard, but this is so worth it. And I can do this. I can do hard things. And that intention was so crucial for this, because it was like my friend during this process. I just never, veered away from that. I tried to stay true to that intention.
Okay. Step one, or tip number one, get your mind in the right place. You are going to be a certified personal trainer. Not only that, but you're going to be a great certified personal trainer. You're going to pass the exam and get your mind and get those intentions there. Let's go on to your next tip. What's your next top tip?
My next tip was just kind of, dissecting that big, huge book. I tried to go through each chapter and read as much as I possibly could and go through all of the workbook assessments at the end and do all the questions and take all the practice quizzes. So that's the second thing that I did.
Okay. And how did you do that?
Well, I just started reading. Like I just started reading the book and it's not like it's an easy book to read. So
did you set a goal?
Go through, what's that?
Did you set a goal on those chapters? Like, did you say, okay, or did you just go through the chapters as you went through them? Did you set a goal? Like we've heard like, hey, some students will do like one chapter a day. Others will like, for a week, I want to conquer. Did you have a goal?
I tried to do, maybe like a chapter a day. And I wanted to try to have like, there was a little bit of a timeline. I wanted to get like the domains, or how I think the book is separated into 4 domains. So I tried to kind of base the months that I took into those domains to try to get a couple of chapters done like every couple of weeks. But normally my goal was to just do 1 chapter at a time.
Okay. So the second tip is work through all the chapters.
Yes. Yep. And just kind of I was trying to familiarize myself with all of this new information. Okay.
Was there anything that helped you get through those chapters?
Yes, but that's my second tip.
Okay. Real quick, before we get to the next tip, we've got a viewer here asking, Parth is asking, do you feel, Rachael, were the practice exam tests, like that the practice questions on the practice exams, were they similar to the actual final exam?
I think I've heard both different versions of this. I've heard that the practice quizzes were actually harder than the real exam. I don't know if that was the case for me. I thought that they were very similar, but what I can say is that the information that are in the practice quizzes are going to be reworded a little bit differently for the final exam questions.
Okay.
But the concepts were the same.
You're feeling they were similar?
Yes.
Parth, I hope that was helpful. Okay, let's move on to your next tip.
So my next tip was my good old Google search and how I found you guys. I just started Googling how to pass the ACE exam. And that's where I came across the Doug Blake videos on YouTube. And I have to say that is first and foremost, that's what I would recommend, because Doug not only like gave me like that support that I needed, like from an instructor, but he also like explained everything, and hearing his perspective and the way that he, digested all of this information and regurgitated it back to me is why I understood the information, because his theories and his tips are really what helped me. He kept saying, read, rewrite, recite. And that's exactly what I did. So when I heard how he would do it, it helped me learn the information better. So what I would do is watch all his videos and push pause and take notes, push pause and take notes. And then I would study that information. So he helped me like pronounce the words that I couldn't pronounce and understand the theories and stuff.
Awesome. Incredible. And from there, you came across our Facebook group?
Yes. So the Facebook group was so fun for me because it was almost like my class. I felt like I felt friends. Like everybody in that group was exactly like me. They're all going through the same thing, wondering whether or not they could do it. How do they pass? Asking for all the tips and tricks. And I found so much connection in that group, and that made me feel supported. And it just made me want to, like, whenever I would learn something, I wanted to go into the group and share it with everyone.
Yeah, so cool. The group is now the largest and fastest growing group. It's really pretty cool. And there's so many helpful members. So great. Okay. Any other tips that you have?
So my other tip was I kept going and redoing all of the practice quizzes that I could find. And I would keep taking them and taking them and taking them. And every time I would get one wrong, I would go over each answer. And I would just that would be like my study. That's kind of how I studied. I would go through A, B, C, and D and then dissect what they meant and write them down and take notes from there. Okay.
Now let me ask you, did you do the chapter reviews first and then do that? Or did you do the practice and then the review of the wrong ones while you were going through the chapter reviews?
I say I would do the chapter reviews and then I would do the practice quizzes after that.
Okay. So cool. Rachael, thank you so much for these tips. I think they're going to be really helpful to these folks that are working to get their ACE personal training certification. Last question here is, why are you doing this? Like, why? Tell us how, now that you've got your personal training certification, are you going to go get a job somewhere as a personal trainer? Are you going to start your own business? Are you going to do it online, in person? Just tell us briefly, like how are you planning to help people?
Yes, to all of those. I want to do everything I can. I just want to help people feel good and realize their potential. And I want to help them understand that they have the power to feel how they want to feel. So as long as I can help teach them that they have the power to feel how they want to feel is really what I want to do. But I just really want to share this knowledge with people so everybody feels good and just want people to know that they can do this, and they can live the life that they want to live and feel how they want to feel, and that anything is possible. And I just want to be the one that helps them achieve that.
I know that you're going to, Rachael. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to leave you with this thought because you shared that intention thing. As a personal trainer now for over 20 years, I've been fortunate to help a lot of people achieve a lot of goals. And one of the first things that I do after years of training to get them the results that they were looking for is I would set those intentions. I knew that if I got a new client and I couldn't get them to believe that they could achieve those goals that they were working towards, my training, the nutrition coaching, the exercise meant nothing. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think when these students are studying, having the intention that they are good learners, that they are good test takers, and they are going to be a great certified personal trainer is going to carry over to when they become a trainer. They've got to coach now their clients to believe in the result and the goal that they're there for before they start coaching them. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Intention is contagious.